The People's Democratic Party has condemned the All Progressives Congress-led federal government over the recent hike in the pump price of premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, from 534 naira to 617 naira per litre. In a statement, the party's National Publicity Secretary, Debo Ologuagba, described the new price as provocative and excessive, adding that the recent increment has worsened the already suffocating economic situation. According to the statement, the PDP is faulting the governing party's justification of the recent hike in petrol price, stressing that the lame argument of market forces and comparison of the price of petrol in Nigeria with those of other countries which have functional infrastructure, variety of affordable alternative transportation system and sources of energy, strong currency, and where citizens earn far higher than what obtains in Nigeria makes the new price regime indefensible. Well, for more on this, I'm joined by Ibrahim Abdullahi, who's the PDP's Deputy National Publicity Secretary, to look at this. Good to see you and thanks for your time. Now, let's quickly look at this. Your party has spoken and quite rightly playing the part of opposition. What's the idea behind your not accepting the price increase of petrol at the moment?
Well, thank you, Suleiman. The honest truth is that we are Nigerians, like every other person. We live within the shores of this country, within the boundaries of the geographical entity called Nigeria. So we are faced with the reality like every other Nigerian. We never thought 2 months in the life of an administration as new as President Bola TInubu's own, Nigerians will be groaning the way they are doing. If you have followed events within the last 48 hours, you would agree with me that, and the party generally, that it has never happened as bad as it is today. Nigerians are groaning across the walks of life, the rich, the poor, Christians, Muslims, the very high and the low. Everybody is not agreeing with the policy and cannot possibly come to terms. And we have seen this as the worst and senseless decision any government can take. So that's our position. That's why we're not even coming to terms with it in the first place before even agreeing, with the reality that is before us.
We've had some experts come in to speak on this. They have also weighed in on this. We had Ibrahim, we had the Mormon chairman, and they all talked about market forces, where they also explained about the weak naira against the dollar. They spoke about the freight prices and, of course, the price of the petroleum product on the plat. So if you look at all of these three, it certainly just might make sense to the PDP and other Nigerians. Well,
it's not making sense to any rational mind, to be very honest with you. Reasons can always adduce. People can always come with logic, to buttress arguments when they postulate one. So in all fairness and sense of reasoning, we cannot possibly come to terms that market forces will be allowed. It's a government that came, with assurances of alleviating the suffering and inheriting the kind of a problem that Nigeria had contended with under President Muhammad Buhari. The 8 years that we couldn't wait to see the end of it. One would think this government will come and give Nigerians at least a breather, and hinging on the campaign promises which they postulated in the days ahead, one would have thought that they would not be haphazard, they would not be in a haste. The rush with which they have brought Nigerians finally on their knees, it's defining human comprehension and reasoning. So believe you me, we are not in tandem with them. We are not in agreement with them. We can't even come to imagine that a government that's, whose election, it's itself, subject to question, without prejudice to the position of the court, But the integrity of the electoral umpire and the election proper is still in contention. And then Nigerians are receiving this. I mean, it's sad. It's reasoning. It's unfortunate.
Ibrahim Abdullahi, when an opposition speaks sometimes in such a system, is such a democracy, you also try as much as possible to offer an alternative. So in the face of what's going on now, does the PDP have an alternative to what the government should have done?
Yes. The first alternative should have been palliative before even going ahead with the withdrawal. One would have expected these people to at least spend a period of 6 months within which they would have studied the situation proper, engaged Nigerians. We were also in agreement with them during the preceding the election, during the campaigns, that indeed it is about time the subsidy is withdrawn. But we would not have rushed into doing it in this manner. We would have given Nigerians at least a benefit of the doubt, a period of 6 months within which the situation would have been studied proper, engage Nigerians, deliberate on the issues, and then come up with informed decision, and then measures to alleviate this excruciating pain of Nigerians. And don't forget, this government inherited a bad situation, one of the worst in human history, the 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari. It was on that ground that Nigerians said anything could go, and that's why they even allowed this government in the first place, giving it the benefit of the doubt. But if you have watched event yesterday and today, you would have heard Nigerians saying that truly Buhari was right to have said we were going to miss him, and we're missing him already. And it is sad, it's unfortunate. If a worse government, a terrible and a terrible government indeed, like Muhammadu Buhari's, could be welcome at this period, then I don't know what else you would want to compare this government with. Certainly the government had an option to have allowed a 6-month mutation period within which they would have studied the situation proper, and then come up with palliative measures, and then withdraw the subsidy. Nobody is against the idea, but certainly not in the manner it's done.
You know, palliative is rather vague these days in Nigeria when we speak of palliative, and Nigerians are also worried about who the recipients will be in the face of the argument that Nigeria has always subsidized its neighboring countries. I mean, its neighbors, countries around Nigeria. So what should this be about? When we talk about palliatives, is it for everybody, for you and I, inclusive?
Of course, certainly for Nigerians. We are saying palliatives should have been measures in place like the transport system. You know, if you look at what Nigerians are groaning with this last few days since the withdrawal of the subsidy, it has to do more with transportation. And every other economic activity revolves around transportation. So it has hinged, you know, the economic development around transportation. If you have not provided alternative measures of commuting from point A to point B, and you have withdrawn the subsidy, thereby subjecting Nigerians to this kind of perpetual misery, then your guess is as good as mine. It's just unfortunate. There should have been a period of 6 months, like I earlier stated, within which these problems would have been studied, and then measures in place, and it's sad that at this point we're not seeing, you know, the civil society coming out in the manner we saw them in 2012 against the PDP. We're not seeing voices like Wole Soyinka's. We're not seeing the El-Rufai's on the street. We're not even seeing Femi Falana's, you know, coming to condemn. It wasn't this bad. It wasn't even 20% what we are going through, you know. But they came all out and paralyzed activities for over a week in Nigeria until Goodluck Jonathan rescinded his decision and allowed, you know, wisdom to prevail. Here, where are they? Something leaves one wondering if truly we are operating on double standard. It's sad.
Well, in the face of a weakened naira, what do you think the marketers, now it's a liberalized, it's a deregulated sector. We have marketers that have gone, imported petroleum product, and we can now see that, that you have a weakened naira. You have the airlines also whose monies are over $800 million trapped in Nigeria. And these are some of the dynamics, you know, affecting the ease of bringing petroleum product into the country. So the PDP is trying now to play the ostrich in this case, because it is clear that we have a weakened naira.
Who brought the naira in the sorry state that it is? It is the same APC. And that's why I was telling you, anywhere I speak, I first hinge the problem around, you know, the government that Bola TInubu inherited. A lot of people would take me as to why would I continue to condemn President Muhammadu Buhari. But the problem of Nigeria became worse from 2015 to 2023, where we are today. You know, with dwindling economy, rising unemployment, growing poverty, and decaying infrastructure. We are certainly going to have a weakened economy and currency like we are having today. You know, and when I'm taking against this, I'm always quick to remind them that I do not hate President Buhari for a person. I'm only opposed to his poor performance, discriminatory policies, disrespect for democratic processes, unnecessary air travels, widening poverty, growing insecurity, lack of security, irredentism politics of divide and rule, and his general contempt for Nigerians. These were the issues that accumulated and brought us into the sorry state. So what this old government inherited is just a continuation of the evil day and the doomsday. And so we are here today to face the reality. But certainly when many of us were shouting on rooftop that Buhari was taking us to the grave, many did not see it in the manner we are seeing it. So whatever this government, in any case, you remember during the campaigns, he said he was going to continue from where President Muhammadu Buhari stopped. And so Nigerians should just face the reality, and I am expecting in the days ahead, every discerning mind, every single Nigerian organization and institution should come all out, not just to verbally condemn this, but to take a decisive decision. If we are to continue remaining as slaves in this country, or we will take a decision and let these people know that Section 14, subsection 2B particularly, states that the purpose of government is the provision of security and welfare of the people. Anything short of that, Nigerians should not accept it. If this government do not have the capacity, and this is clear, it does not seem to have the capacity to fix the problem, they should give way.
And today, the House of Representatives overwhelmingly voted for or rejected a reduction in the price of petrol, and that's a house where you have a lot of members as well. So how does it feel that your party members didn't toe the line of the party in trying to see what they can do in shooting that up?
Well, the game of politics, like you know, Suleiman, is a question of the majority having their way, and the security, the minority having a say. They have, indeed they have. We were together with the caucus of the House and even that of the Senate. We've discussed with them, and they know that their voice will be soiled, subsumed, as it were, by this majority. They tried doing the best they could. It's about the decision of the presiding officer, who is in, in government. They are in the majority, so they decide who even speaks in the House. So we are aware that they came out disappointed, and they are expressing their misgivings in not even having a voice, on the floor of the House. But in the days ahead, you will see a decision. They are going to come up with a communique to condemn the decision, and the Senate is going to follow suit. And all the wise, men within the PDP, across the rank and file, not just the party, we're going to be, I expected to come out and speak in the same tone. Certainly, it's sad. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, also very unfortunate that some Nigerians have also put the blame on both the APC and the PDP. They think, for instance, the NNPC, which should have been managing our refineries from when your party took off, has failed the nation, and that is one of the reasons we are where we are at the moment. Up
until 2015, when PDP lost power, the refineries were functioning. Not at optimal capacity, I agree, but they were functioning. But today, we are shrouded in misery. If you hear Kaduna is functioning, you hear Port Harcourt is not. If you hear Warri is functioning, you hear Sapele is not. So it's sad. We are not even, first of all, informed as Nigerians as to the true situation of things before we even begin to evaluate if indeed the problem got escalated under APC or PDP. But certainly, as at May 29, 2015, all of the 4 refineries in Nigeria are functioning. And you can even see the fraud that was Dangote's refinery. Government did not tell us that this was what they were going to do. It was after an individual came within the space of 4 years, put a refinery, and then government is now leaning. These are the kind of lie.
Did you say the Dangote refinery?
Yes, fraud? I said it's a fraud. Yes, because it's a contradiction of what we were told in the beginning. We were told an individual was promoting it. Later, government is telling us that it has interest in the refinery. If you cannot
interest or share,
it doesn't matter. Interest and share. I can't see what is the dichotomy between the two. Whether it's share or interest.
What makes that fraudulent?
What makes it fraudulent is that why were we not told in the beginning that our interest, common patrimony, government involves every one of us, including you and I. We were not told that we are going to now begin to have an individual to run a refinery at the detriment of the 4 government refineries that we have. So if you cannot fix our own, and you are taking an interest that all of us were not consulted prior, and then you're giving an individual to promote, I think it leaves much to be done.
But your party started the move at that point in time. We remember then pretty much later.
But we came all out.
Then you sold the refineries, sure. And President Yar'Adua of blessed memory came and he reversed it. So yeah. It was the same idea that we have today, your party set off to do.
Until that refinery was commissioned already, we never had that the percentage that this government had or Nigerian government has in that refinery. We were only told that a refinery, Dangote was promoting refinery, and nobody told us the exact statistics. It was at the commissioning that we now had that Nigeria has stake in that refinery. But even if that is not as important as you want to see it, why couldn't in 8 years Buhari fix the refineries that he said he was not only going to revive within the period of two years, that he was going to build more modular and even standard refineries. He said he was going to do all of that. He criticized PDP. APC criticized PDP on rooftops. We were called names. We were called fraudulent. The worst thing that could happen to human civility. But here we are, seeing the worst indeed. Even the Pharaoh will not take his people for a ride the way APC has taken Nigeria.
Before we leave, President Jonathan has before now always paid President Buhari a visit in Aso Rock, and now that seemed to be a tradition, as is also extended same to the President TInubu. How does it feel as a PDP man to see that our former president, I'm quite sure is still a PDP member?
First, you must appreciate that he is a statesman. And at their level, they could visit and address issues that affect the country largely. And secondly, you must also appreciate that he has an assignment which has to do with the ECOWAS, with elections. And he's in charge of Mali. He even stated that 2 days back when he paid a courtesy on President Bola TInubu. And he was clear to Nigerians that you will see even more of him now, because it has to do, now that the president is elected, the head of ECOWAS. The clear thing is for him to discuss issues that affect Africa and African democracy, particularly Mali, that he has under his purview. So it has nothing to do with accepting, the approach or the system that we have at hand. It's just a question of being a statesman and going to visit, a colleague as a former president and commander-in-chief. That's just it. Goodluck Jonathan has never blessed or seen anything good in either President Muhammadu Buhari, like he will not see probably, and certainly rather, under Ahmed Bola TInubu as commander-in-chief.
And how does it excite you, his performance around the subcontinent?
Well, it's just early in the day for anybody.
No, I'm talking about President Jonathan.
Oh, that's outstanding. You could see how he is commended by international community. He goes everywhere with red carpet. He's received as one of the greatest Democrats in African history. And so,
do you think the party, talking about the APC or those who specifically called him clueless man while he was serving as president, should apologize to him?
Oh, certainly. They long have been doing so. You must have heard. They have since agreed that, they went out of place because of his calmness. He's a person that is given to, criticism. He never went against anybody for calling him names. But we soon saw in his successor what cluelessness implies. We saw how indecisive. And that's why even in the beginning, some of us were giving this government some benefit of the doubt. We were saying, okay, fine. Coming out of a government that was indecisive, it couldn't take decision. An individual was locked in the villa, and then the government was handed over to some cronies around him, like they call them cabal. That was what we saw in Buhari's 8 years. But we are seeing in Bola TInubu early in the day some form of decisiveness, and that was for Nigerians a breather of some sort. We never knew that he wasn't concerned about their welfare in the first place. He's particular about interest that he has to, whatever it is, to promote, within the APC or I just hope he will come all out very quickly and apologize to Nigerians, because what we have before us is unacceptable. It's not something that is even going to remain within our contemplation. We are just to give them, a couple of days within which we will take a decision. Certainly, it's not going to be sit down and watch. We will take a decision for the benefit of Nigerians.
Ibrahim Abdullahi, Deputy National Publicity Secretary, PDP, many thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.